Safety Committee meeting, our first for 2024. Let's see how fast we can get through this. Some stuff are super fast, some are going to be longer. The first item is community engagement town hall discussion. I want to hold off on that because it's possible that Lieutenant Hoffman will be joining us. He's the gentleman, the officer that I've been working with to bring that to Ward 4 specifically, and then the other wards as we discussed before. So let's go first to the yard sale ordinance review. We all have a copy of it in front of us. This was brought to me by now auditor Ken Miracle, just because it hasn't been looked at or addressed since 1984, and he really wants to get it up online on the website to make it more user-friendly, and we're going to be more modern. So I was hoping folks could take a look at it. In terms of the fee, which is $10, that's really pretty comparable to other communities. What a lot of communities do is they'll have the first one will be free and the next one's $5 and the next one $10. But Norwood has the 2 free ones a year, so, which I really like, and I like that kind of makes them 2 big events. So it makes Norwood a bit more of a destination. So I don't have a really issue with the $10. I wanted to see what people think about adding Sunday.
Actually, I was going to say.
Because back when this was done, that was not all that uncommon, but now that's more unusual.
My relatives who go to church love to yard sale after, frankly. So I feel like that's a missed opportunity if we just don't have it.
So I wanted to see what you guys thought. I don't know if folks at home want to give some feedback on that at the next meeting or by email. The only other thing I thought would be nice to add 2 items. One where we could say, reminding people it's illegal to post signs, which is part of the rule, but it's currently not in the ordinance to specify that. And the other was a suggestion, I saw this on, I don't remember what community, but it said, please donate unwanted and unusable items to a donation center. And then there's a reduce, reuse, recycle link on the city page with a list of places. And I thought that was a fantastic idea.
I think that's a good idea. To just add that to the website?
Well, I don't know if we can, that would be a slightly bigger project, but we could certainly ask them to donate unwanted items. And if we can get it on the website that quickly, that would be good. We do have Salvation Army here in Norwood, but I don't know where else in Norwood. We could certainly say Salvation Army, Goodwill. There's the resale shop, the
Habitat for Humanity.
Habitat for Humanity resale.
We've got some great local reuse.
So you just want to add the suggestion into the ordinance, or just
Yes,
on the
or onto the. I'd like to have the please donate on the ordinance, or because that will be what people would sign. And I think it would be awesome if we could have a link on the city page, but even if we just give them the suggestion.
We could just say the city encourages donations, where I think that's fine.
So you say that you want it on the ordinance, and people won't be signing the ordinance, but they'll have an application. You want it on the application.
The application.
It's both.
So what Ken Miracle is going to do would have, because at the bottom of the ordinance is the application.
Okay.
So on the website, and maybe Ken, Mr. Miracle will make it look different on the website. So if it's not on the ordinance, maybe we can request that he just have it on the application.
Sure.
Yeah. I think it's fine if whatever works. I think if we just said like the city encourages, I think
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it's going to work. We talked a little bit about updating the forms at the finance committee last night. And he wants the auditor forms online, and then also goes to an automatic payment. I mean, I don't see why the links can't be there. Okay, great, you just signed up. Here are some links to donate items. I don't know.
I think it has to do with how nimble
Yeah.
civic clerk is.
Yeah.
I have no idea if they have that capacity or not. What do you guys think about the Sunday?
Oh, I think we should add Sunday.
Yeah, I think Sunday would be fine to have a yard sale.
Yeah, I don't
Do you
have
have
any
a
issues
feeling?
with that. Yeah, absolutely. Don't they do it now? They don't do it on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays? Or
No,
they do it
just Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
For the free.
Yeah, the
Some people
ordinance
just keep-
says
some people
no
just keep it on
home.
Sunday.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I don't care.
yeah.
I don't know about, I mean, so you have a yard sale, you take a piece of cardboard and you put your address and you go to the corner on the telephone pole and you staple it to the pole, so you're gonna act like, I mean, people have been doing that for years and years, and we're gonna put that on there, they're not allowed to do that, I guess?
You're not allowed to do that. You're
Yeah.
currently not
I know,
allowed.
but
And
That's what you
part
do.
of it, well, but if I mean, I once put up signs when I had a lost dog, and I got a call, a very kind call, but hey, that's illegal, you gotta get those down and you'll be cited. So there's,
It's because
I mean,
the polls belong
that's
to
fine.
Duke,
That's
right?
a-
Is that
yeah,
the issue?
so-
To me, it's a little petty, but that's all
It
right.
is.
well,
No, I
You gotta
agree.
do
it's
it.
currently the law that you're not allowed to post on.
I mean, I get it, I heard
And
that.
so it's not that I'm saying just for yard sales, it's a way of letting people know ahead of time so they don't get that call.
I got you. Yeah, it's no big deal. I mean, whatever, man.
Okay.
We gotta govern over everything, it's just a little,
Well, people will probably do it,
Annoying.
and if someone gets annoyed and has the time to call in, they'll,
I'll be like,
They'll put it on See-Click Fix.
yeah. But
It's
most of us,
sad.
if I
It's
see it, I'm
sad.
like, oh, let's go that way. There's a yard sale.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's one of those minor.
it's a little sad,
Yeah.
sad that we have to deal with that, but whatever.
Oh, yes.
It's fine.
As you take a look at this, is there anything else on here that feels outdated or that you'd like to be addressed?
Could change his or her to their.
Ooh,
Oh, yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I think the 9 a.m. and 8 p.m. is good.
so omit item 3, which is the Sunday.
Yeah.
But I guess we want to keep
Is it the rear of the
or legal.
premises?
What?
Sorry. The rear of the premises, so they're not supposed to do it in the front?
I believe that's,
Where's such
I believe
wholesale?
that's,
For the, oh, yeah. I feel like a lot of people do the front yard anyway, and their porches. Do we want to just,
I didn't notice that.
I mean, I feel like people just sell in the front anyway, but it seems silly to keep it in, to me.
Is there a reason? Is it like a visually?
I mean, do we want to check with the health and building department? That's the only thing I can think of, but people are already doing it on their front yards.
Yeah.
Is it
And
just?
like in their driveways and garages and.
Yeah, is it just a facade thing that they didn't want to see that in 1984? Or is there actually like a health and building code of like, you can't have that?
I don't know why it would matter if it's on their porch.
Like a safety issue, maybe?
I mean, if you're having the yard sale, you're already inviting, sorry not to get too legal, you're
Yeah,
already
no.
inviting strangers onto your property, so I would think you would know not to let them on your porch if your porch is rickety.
Yeah. I think it'd be fine to put in the front yard, but I would double check for me with health
Yeah.
and building department.
But I'm fine taking that whole thing out if they are fine with it.
Yeah.
So that would be Mark and Jim. I'm gonna message them right now. Okay.
Do we care about the legal holiday part too? I know we said Sunday.
So that would be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There are no legal holidays on Sunday.
Like President's Day?
That'd be a
Monday?
Monday. Are there any legal holidays on a Friday we would care
Labor
about?
Day, Memorial Day,
Monday.
Arbor Day. Just kidding.
I mean, depending on the year, it could be Christmas.
Right.
It could be like Christmas and Easter
Yeah.
Or no, Easter's on Sunday.
Oh, yeah, Easter's always
But
on
Christmas would
Sunday.
be the variable, which,
Yeah.
again, if someone wants to be out on Christmas,
I know, is that really? I don't care.
trying to think of any other floating. July 4th couldn't and land on any day of the week.
What's the logic behind that? Do we know? Just,
My guess would be respect, just because it's with the Sunday.
Veterans Day, I guess. But it's capitalism.
That's 100% a guess.
That's when the mattress sales happen, so
That's true.
I don't feel a yard
Yeah,
sale
how
is
did
that
happen?
offensive.
Yeah, the only floating holidays I can think of are like New Year's Day, July 4th, Christmas, that aren't
Is
specific.
Memorial always a Friday?
Memorial is a Monday. I
A
believe.
Monday, you're
Yeah.
But
Those are all floating holidays.
I'm kind of like, if you want to do it on that day, I don't care. But, Mr. Braden,
What's that?
how do you feel about the legal holiday
On a
restriction?
yard sale on a legal holiday.
Is there something in here, or do you want?
Yes,
Yeah, it
item
says-
3.
I didn't see that.
So no.
Item 3.
That's on a Sunday or legal
No home
holiday.
sale shall be conducted on a Sunday or a legal holiday. I mean,
If the law department knows
I don't
something,
see
I
no
don't.
reason why not to just be, I mean,
Yeah.
it's worked for us for this long. No one's had an issue with it.
Yeah.
There's not, we got 20,000 residents here. I haven't heard anybody come in here and complain about it.
I
So
haven't either.
we'd probably leave it. I mean, yeah.
So no home shall be conducted on a legal holiday?
I was just wondering, if there's no reason to.
Somebody did that for a reason.
Yeah.
They might be smarter than us.
Well, but they also did Sunday, and we were deciding
Well,
that,
that's because years ago, God mattered a little more than it does now. In my opinion, that's just my humble opinion. It mattered more. Sundays did. There was a time of worship and a time of, people just didn't do that on Sundays, and I totally understand. I mean, I get it. So, and now it's a little different. They don't even think about that nowadays. A lot of people, not all. I'm generalizing. I'm
Yeah.
generalizing.
Day of rest.
I don't have an issue either way. I had one yard sale my entire life, and I made like $2, so
We had.
I'm not the
my-
person to.
I got the same situation.
It was not-
Similar experience.
Yeah.
Oh, my family used to have them like every summer, so maybe that's why I'm like, whenever you want. Just
Yeah.
kidding, but like,
I kind of feel that way about scrapping metal too, like work your butt off for 50s, like it's not enough. It's not enough.
I must come from a more yard sale, garage sailing family than the people in this room. That's where you get your Pyrex deals, guys.
I used to
That's
like
where
to
you get your
shop.
mixing bowls. You gotta work, it's work.
Yeah, I don't got time.
Yeah.
I don't got time.
Where you get your Disney VHSs.
Those are worth something now.
I know, I wish I would.
Are they? I still have a bunch
Oh,
of
yeah.
DVDs.
I don't know.
VHS
I don't
are
know.
what's worth money now.
You also need a VH.
You
Player.
don't you just download them? And also, I think they're,
Yeah.
we got.
It's like how records are coming back now.
I like them good.
Physical
vinyl.
media, you gotta get physical media, because the streaming well, I won't get off the agenda. I'll tell you
Okay.
after the
All
meeting.
I mean, if anyone has any historical input on it,
On the legal
Reach out.
holiday,
reach out.
or, yeah.
Other than that, I don't see any conflict of having a yard sale on those days.
Okay.
But if there is a historical significance and importance, I'm
Here.
game
If
to
there was some
respect that.
Christmas debacle of
I'm
yard
game to
sales in the
respect that.
70s,
Yeah.
someone tell us.
All right, we'll jump down to the Home Buyer Lunch and Learn program. I'm kind of excited about this. I went to the Chamber of Commerce meeting, their annual meeting, and Mayor Schneider gave his State of the City address, which, wow, so much great stuff is happening in Norwood. But while I was there, met lots of people, including a woman whose name I can't remember, and so I'm going through my email. She is with a bank, and she would love to partner with us to do a lunch and learn. Here she is, Chelsea from FC. What's FC Bank? Sorry. Oh, First Commonwealth. Gotcha. Okay, so they have an office here in Norwood. And so they can put this on for us. They'll provide the food and the drinks. We would share in marketing with them, like we put it on our city website, that sort of thing. They would do marketing. We would have it somewhere. We could maybe do the community center. Trying to think of a good central place that we could have it. The rec, open to ideas for that as well.
Yeah.
I did clear it with the law department. That's perfectly fine for us to do that. So that will be in a couple of months. They just need a little bit of time to get the marketing material and find a good day and that kind of thing. And I'd really like to try to do this a couple of times a year, and maybe we could use different banks or do different programs. So this one would be very specifically on buying a house, but maybe we could do one on beginning investing or, you know, other things like that to help give our residents more information that would be helpful for them. This first one, again, they have it as a lunch and learn. Maybe the next one could be an evening one, so we can get people who maybe couldn't come during the middle of the day. There's never a perfect time because of people who work during the day, and people who work at night. So maybe try to mix it up a little bit. Does that sound good for folks, that the housing committees have our name on that?
I'm not sure, will you repeat again exactly what you're having?
Sure. It's the First Federal Bank, which has a location here in Norwood, has agreed to partner with us, this committee, to do a lunch and learn, which would be a free program for residents to learn the process on how to buy a house.
Okay. Where's the First Fidelity, where are they at?
First come.
First Commonwealth. They're in Norwood. They're, let's see what their address is. It doesn't tell us what their address is. They're right up in the, 4730 Montgomery Road. So that's,
By La Rosa's.
yeah, by La Rosa's, by that big doctor's office. What's the name of that giant complex where the
On the other side of the Roses?
yeah.
I think so.
Oh, okay.
No, not La Rosa, the Papa John's.
Papa John's. Oh, okay.
Am I confused?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I know where you're at. Globe Warnicki. That's the old Globe Warnicki site.
Oh, it's like literally diagonal from the fire department.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's across the street.
The one here across from Frisch's?
Yep.
Okay.
Isn't it funny you drive by something every day
Yeah.
and you never see it?
Okay, great. Yeah. Sure. Awesome.
Okay. So I will continue to work on that, and we'll bring that. Another thing we could consider, do we want this to be something out of the Housing, Health, and Public Safety Committee, or would we want it to be something out of council as a whole? I don't think it really matters. It certainly fits under the housing component. You know, one of the things, you know, there's a lot of things that we need to work on in housing. One is, you know, paying attention that we have, you know, housing for all Norwoodians in every stage of life. Some people want to be homeowners and don't know how. Some don't want to be homeowners. So this is for those folks who want to be homeowners, and ideally we want them to be in Norwood. So that would not So, some of the other things I want to work on are, okay, that's later. That's in my 2024 planning. So back to, do you think it would be better to come out of the housing committee or come out of the council as a whole?
I think housing's fine, and I don't see it needing to be. I mean, there's no money invested, it's just saying,
It's just who are they partnering with?
yeah. And the partnering is marketing and putting that out there. If anyone's interested in joining, this is when and where it's happening.
Yep.
I don't really know how to respond, like, either one, like, normally the committees report to council, so I really don't know. I haven't really dealt with committees wanting to sponsor certain organization, something like that.
Well, we did it a few times last year. We did it with the,
Yeah, some blood drives or some,
well, the blood drive was through the DEI, but the housing committee put on the meeting that you came to at the school.
Yeah.
That was out of the housing committee.
right?
We also did, it was the ADU meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't-
That was out of
I don't have
housing.
I don't have a, whatever you guys want, it'll be fine with me. I don't have
Okay.
any, like, argument over either way, so, perfect.
All right.
It might be business friendly to reach out. I mean, just if the chamber has like all the other banks, like, hey guys, we just did this with Federal Commonwealth. If you have any, other programs that you'd like the community to know about, let us know. We're happy to help work
Yeah.
together.
It was actually very organic because there's
Yeah.
also a gentleman from Fifth Third Bank there that I just didn't get a chance to talk to. And we were chatting, I'm like, hey, this is an idea, and she just jumped on it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, I have never banked with the bank, obviously, because I keep
Yeah.
getting their name wrong.
Yeah.
First Commonwealth.
Whose idea, was it your idea or their idea? Like,
It was my idea. We talked about it in this committee 2 years ago.
Did it stem from, like, resident involved, like, is there residents that are contacting us saying, I wanna buy a house, but I don't know how? Like, that's all, I'm just curious.
Some of them, for sure. Part of it
Contacting
is,
you?
I've had lots of people say, I want to buy a house, and I don't know how.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Also, part of our job is not only to respond to the residents' concerns, but also take a look at what the needs are
Okay.
and provide opportunities. So,
I understand that.
one of the things we hear a lot in the community is Norwoodians can't buy in Norwood. And that might be an issue for me now, the way the housing prices is, and my house has skyrocketed in 20 years, which is fantastic. But I don't know if I was a young mom, or we were, a young couple when we moved in, I don't know that we could have moved to Norwood. And one of the things that we're hearing from a lot of residents is, I can't afford to move. Or I can't afford rent. Rent at Factory 52 is, what, $12,000 for an efficiency.
12.
Oh, I do that all the time. That's why I'm not on the finance committee. $1,200 a month. You should buy a house. That's a mortgage. Well, how do you buy a house? And that's, generational wealth, how important that is, that if people do want to buy homes, I would like, as a community leader, to assist people in buying a home. So,
I get that.
to sort of answer your question,
I think the reason why that I posed it like that is because there's a shift, and I guess it's just an ideology, like like, I think I commend, I understand where you're coming from, and I get that, but I think that the way I think is the committees are for issues that, I don't know, let's say, there's an issue that involving, several hundred residents, and then we have to run it through the committees. But it's new to me that we want to run, I understand, I just don't see a bunch of people like.
well, respectfully, I think that council has been not proactive, we've been reactive.
Okay.
For years.
I love it. I love it.
And that doesn't mean that, I think I've got 5 emails outstanding from residents who have specific questions about parking and the water meter reading and those sorts of things. So it's not an either or.
I love it.
But one of our responsibilities is to make the community, I believe, to make the community better for everyone. And so that's not sitting around and waiting for residents to say, here's a problem, but hear what they are saying and how can we help alleviate that.
I think you're doing a great job of that.
Well, thank you.
Providing resources.
Providing resources. Yeah, I wish we had $1 million and we could, do all sorts of things, but we don't. So we're doing the things that we can with what we've got.
Okay. No arguments here.
Sweet. All right. So the community engagement. So we had the one meeting at the school Mr. Braden was at. I know that you tried to come, and that building is really not.
All the doors were locked.
Right. The location was not great if you don't have a student at that school, because I walked
I tried.
quite a while.
The door was hidden to me also.
It was hidden.
And another resident simply did not get it.
I tried 4 doors on one side, and it was, Anyway, so
I
what we did
attempted.
months ago was we
I like
had.
that. The school should be very hard to get into.
It should, but just like there's
I know.
a
I did the
buzzer.
same thing. Yeah, I walked all the way around.
So what we did a few months ago in Ward 4 was we had, the police came and I was there, Ms. Braden was there, and we talked about some of the issues that the residents were having. Chief Sumner did a great job doing an overview. There is some interest in
Citizen Patrol.
the one,
Block watch.
Block Watch. Yeah, because Citizens Patrol is like next level. So the Block Watch thing, you really do need to have a bunch of volunteers to make that work. But it seemed like there was enough interest that we at least want to have the meeting again. I would love to, and I've been sort of thinking about it in this interim, and maybe sort of shifting it a little bit and having it be more about a community engagement, town hall kind of structure. I wanted to see what you guys think. Still have the police, come and give their information, because they have a lot of great information. I've been working on some resources that a lot of people don't know, like basic things like the C-Click Fix and NORCOM and how to sign up for newsletters. So I've been gathering all that information. I passed that on to Noah to see if he could get it on the, get all the approval to have it put up on the website. But have that information for the residents there as well, because so many people don't know. I had someone email me today, hey, I want to report a pothole. Okay, she didn't know. So I reported the pothole and then gave her the information on how to report a pothole. So if we have more people knowing how to gather the resources that are already there, it'll make the whole process go better. So to have that kind of information, but then also allow the residents an opportunity to talk about some of the challenges that they have. I think one of the biggest things I got out of that meeting was a sense that the residents really felt heard. That was the sense that I got, that they all got really good answers from the officers that were there, some things that they didn't realize, like half the people didn't know how to report a drug tip. We can do that online. You can be anonymous. So let's make sure our residents have that information so there's more.
I really enjoyed that meeting though too, because the police officers were able to communicate their frustrations as well, of saying, hey, I responded to that event and it still sticks with me to this day that I have not been able to do anymore. And I think for the residents to hear that coming from the police officers, there's a little bit more, okay, what can we do to help that? And that meeting was great. Like, everyone was very respectful. And so it was really encouraging. It was a really great conversation. But I think that back and forth between the police officers, like you were talking about, and the residents really understanding each other. But, you know, if we're on the street and we see something happen, we're like, they didn't do this, you know, you're immediately in defense. But if you're able to sit down and listen to that police officer who responded to it and see their side of the story and hear their frustrations with it too as well, I feel like that like really breaks down that barrier and you start troubleshooting together, which I'd love to see. Yeah, more of those meetings I think would be amazing.
Yeah, and I think one of the messages that, sorry.
Sorry.
Do we want it loud or?
Try amplifying that.
Sorry.
Good Lord.
How are you doing?
Yeah, no wonder I can't hear.
Yeah, give it a sec. All right, now you're safe. I think one of the things that I heard Chief Sumner say a few times was, help us. This is not, all of this needs to be a collaborative effort. And I think that is sort of yeah, we all need to take ownership. If there's garbage in front of my house, I didn't put it there, but I'm gonna pick it up. You know, that's my ownership. If I see a crime happening, I'm gonna report it. That's part of my responsibility as a citizen. And I think when people can see the officers as truly caring and engaged in the community, that it gives more of that, you know, okay, I know you, I want to help you, I do want to work with you, I do trust you. And that's something that when Chief Sumner and I were talking about continuing to deepen and improve police-resident relationships, I think that's going to be one of the big pieces of it. So we just need to figure out when we're going to do it. We'd hoped to get it done in January. That's not happening. Moving forward, is there a day of the week that you guys think would be the perfect day of the week? Last time we did it on a Thursday.
I think Thursdays are good.
Yeah, I think we kind of said, nobody likes Mondays, nobody likes Fridays.
We have.
We got a lot of council meetings on Tuesdays. Okay.
Come the summertime or spring, I'll be playing ball on Thursday nights.
All right.
Until then, I'm free.
Well, we'll do it before then.
Yeah.
Because I really had wanted to do it
Yeah.
January-ish.
I'm free on Thursdays.
Okay.
Wednesdays.
Okay. And I think, again, the plan is to do this in each ward. And then here's the other piece of question, was putting it in the community in a different location, and wanted to feel out what you guys thought about that. I know some communities do this sort of thing, like like Ward 3, I think would be perfect at the Indian Mound.
Oh, like outside.
No, in their party room.
Oh wait, in the cafe?
Yeah. Oh, no, sorry, not,
No,
yeah. The
I
restaurant.
thought that at first.
The restaurant. Of
Okay.
course, I've not talked to them, but I'm just thinking that might be a good way to get people
In businesses.
in businesses, and maybe that would feel a little more welcoming than the community center.
Everyone knows where the doors are.
The doors are. But I couldn't, and I had one for every ward. Oh, maybe Ward 1. Maybe Alloy would have space there.
Yeah.
It's a little more hidden. It's not really a business.
That's like a cool, like, I don't think a lot of people go over there unless you
Yeah.
live over there.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that would be good, like, and I'm sure they have space, but to get people trekked over there too. I think that would be a good spot.
Can you think of, I thought of a place, and I didn't follow up on it, in Ward 4, because there's like the J&W sandwich shop, that's Wasteball. What about the artist room? That a Norwood resident started that over on Carthage. Does that have any big space?
I have no idea.
I've never
Is that the
been
corner,
outside.
is that the corner on Cathedral?
I'm not sure where it is.
Oh, it could be the next one, Quatman.
Would Quatman's?
I don't
We'd have
know.
to take the whole-
I'm a little worried
Yeah.
about the attendance.
Yeah, yeah.
As far as, I don't know, maybe you guys in your wards have more bigger attendance, like in mine, I know in the.
4.
When we had it at the school, you know, you had a few people, show up, but they were pretty angry at the time, and I hope that more people show up and it gets bigger and bigger, but I don't know, I'm worried about the attendance, so. That's all, like as far as.
So
you know,
would
our
your
attendance.
sense be it would be better to do it in the school that feels more
I mean, if you
neutral,
want to have it in a
or?
different location, that's fine, but
Are you worried it's too many people or too few people?
no, just not, I mean, our attendance, we only had 4 or 5.
Right.
We didn't have a whole bunch, and they were upset, they were really upset at the time. I think that there was a bunch of shootings, a shooting like
Yeah,
like
there
a few
were.
days, so.
There's like 8.
I don't know that they'll be, you know, calmed down by then, or if they're still gonna be wanting to do, I hope so, and I hope that it grows and grows, that's what, obviously what you wanted to happen, so. You know, as far as planning some other locations, I think it'd be fine, I know, if it's good weather, depending on the weather, you know, you do it outdoors, or, the school worked fine.
that's true, if
too.
it
I thought
warms
the
up.
school worked perfect.
In the future, we could do that outside.
What else is it for? I mean,
The art room, it's at 5318 Carthage.
Carthage. Yeah, that's 5312. That's got to be right there on the corner of Carthage and Cathedral, right next to the bar. What bar is the name of that thing with that bar? Stoney's, right next to, across the street from Stoney's, maybe on the corner on Carthage, maybe. Is that it? Or there's an old grocery store right there. And there's another
Gonna
one
be
there on the
outside.
next block.
Oh, I know.
On Quatman. So it could be either one of them. I guess it could be the block before that,
It's
Right
right
before
before
the
the
school.
school. It's right before the
right
school.
before the school. Okay.
On
Karate,
Carthage.
they used to have karate right there in that corner.
Yes,
Huh.
it's
Okay.
in that little like shop,
Yeah,
the
I got you.
storefronts.
I know right where you're at,
Uh-huh.
okay. Yeah, for sure. I think that's great, yeah, I mean.
Depending on
doesn't
how
really
big
matter.
it is inside.
Yeah, I have
To reach
no
out.
idea.
Yeah.
You might want to just keep it at school and do a couple, and then if you do get it growed, you can move it around. If you do grow your attendance, just move it around, for sure. I don't know.
There's also stepping stones kind of tucked back in there.
Oh, and I guess the only other concern might be is if you want it recorded, if you have it at the restaurants. Because I know we usually live stream them. Oh, yeah. Just something to consider. Sorry, I didn't mean to
No, it's all right. Thinking.
put a damper on.
All right, well,
We can figure it out if we.
let's decide now. Do we want to do it in the school, or should we reach out to do it in the community? I mean, the school is community, but
I'd be fine at the cafe. Like I,
but
but I don't know if you want to.
But that was Ward 3. So I wanted
Oh,
to
okay, you want to
do,
keep it in Ward 4 this time. Okay.
yeah, because this is a Ward 4 meeting, so that's why I was wanting to specialize, target a Ward
Okay.
4 business. I love me Quatmans, but I don't know if they're open, and they don't have like a,
Do you want to reach out first to a couple businesses and check with them before we decide?
okay,
Sorry, not to, or I can as well. Not to put it on you, but
could you?
I can look for some.
Okay,
When were you thinking of having it though? Just so
I think we'd say now February, a
February.
Thursday in
a
February,
Thursday in February.
and I'll try
The
to,
second half of February.
probably.
Let's kick it. Okay. And we can just say last time we had about 12 people.
Yeah, I think,
To anticipate
I
maybe.
think
maybe
it was
20.
more like 10, because I got the names of everyone.
If I had
and
gotten
then-
it, it'd been 11.
And then we had 3 officers there. And then Steve and Tyler were both there.
I love that Chief Sumner's mom was there.
Chief Sumner's mom was there, gave him a hard time.
So
Love
we
her.
just- So should I just say like 15, 20 possibly,
Yeah, 20 tops.
tops?
Man, if we had 20 people,
I mean, I'd be excited.
that'd be very exciting. We want you to come. We want to hear what you have to say.
Okay. I guess that's also Ward 3. I'm trying to think of other places. John, if you think of any stellar spots, let me know.
Absolutely.
Or we may just come back to the school.
Yeah. All right, then the last is 2024 planning. Sort of a tangent. I couldn't watch the meeting last night because it wasn't, anyway, so the council meeting last night. Did you guys schedule a committee of the whole meeting?
Not yet, no.
Okay. So one of the things that, my understanding we're going to do in the committee of the whole is sort of get a sense of what we're doing in 2024, sort of some bigger planning. And I thought it would be important for us to spend a little bit of time. What are some of the things we know we want to do on this committee in this year and 2 years? I know for me, the first goal is to do this town hall discussion in each ward. I think that's really important. I want, after my first 2 years here, I'm so aware how much my job is to be educated and to educate others. And I think the same needs to happen for our residents. I think that they need to be educated and they need to educate us. The amount of inaccurate information out there is mind-boggling. Just because someone says it on social media does not make it true.
Such a waste of time.
It's such a waste of time. And if you really want your questions answered, go to an accurate source. Go to an elected official.
We're here.
Go to Noah Powers. The number of times I've reached out to Noah and he's like, oh, I talked to that person, or he already knows. We are here to serve the community. So don't ask on Facebook a question that's not a Facebook question. So having those community dialogues, making sure people have accurate information so that we can have conversations based on fact and truth and not spend all of our time dispelling myths, that would be phenomenal. Want to see, the other thing that obviously I'm super passionate about is the recycling for Norwood. Probably by spring we might have a sense of if we've moved the needle at all. So recycling is a big part. I talked to Noah about the possibility of having some recycling posts go out on the Norwood City Facebook page and possibly on the city page. So he's going to talk with the mayor and see, how often does that seem right. I've been doing a little bit of reading into how often should people post on social media. Mr. Powers' concern was we don't, if you have a recycling post every single day, people might snooze us. We don't want to be snoozed, but we want to be sure that people get the information. So what's the right amount? So we're going to try to figure that out, but Noah has said that he's going to explore that as something that can go out with some regularity to the residents, recycling tips or information, that kind of thing.
A thought there, we have the Cincinnati Reuse Recycle Hub, we have Hamilton County Resources, and then Rumpke, of course. But like just any events that we have within the city, like contacting one of three of them or all of them being like, hey, could one of you show up to this event? Like just having that consistency of, I know they're Cincinnati, like they were already at the market. They also came to the soil testing that I did. So like reaching out to them, because I know Rumpke's pushing it. They're running out of room. And the other two are pretty, I would say, involved. I mean, they've come to talk at council and all of that, but just informing them, hey, we're having a community event if anyone wants to come and share information.
I like that. And just sort of have that always in our mind.
Yeah.
Along those lines, I did ask Noah if on the reserve, the event permit, if we could put on the bottom just a little note that says, consider borrowing recycling items from the resource, that's the Hamilton County resource. Again, just another sort of reminder that that's something that you could do. You could rent them, or they're borrowed.
Yeah.
We did that for the Hispanic Festival. And it worked. It worked pretty well. It's a bit of a hassle because you got to go there and get the stuff and bring them and set it up. But if you have a group doing something, if one person they're in charge of that, that would be lovely. So again, just another way of educating residents about possible, resources that they could use. Also, I'm hearing around about 2024 planning, I'm hearing a lot of folks have issues with Rumpke. I'm personally not having any issues with Rumpke, and I'm curious if you guys have heard things or have concerns, if this is something, I was going to reach out to Mr. Powers and see, we do have a Rumpke, our guy,
Yeah.
what's that called? Contact.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
If a conversation needs to happen, or
What kind of issues are?
not picking up trash, not picking them up timely.
Mine's been fine.
Yeah, again, mine has also
Is it
been
from a
fine.
certain ward, maybe?
I can't always tell.
Okay.
I'd follow up with Mr. Powers.
Okay.
There's, I heard there was some people upset up off of, is that Carthage? The street where the Mexican restaurant is on Carthage Avenue? I forget the name of it.
Taqueria San Marcos?
Yeah, there you go. So right in that area, there was some people upset about the garbage men. I guess they weren't picking them up because there were some cars in the way or something.
Yeah.
And they just left them. And
Yeah.
then they would
I've been there before when it's clear the
left
trash
them
hasn't
when they
been
were
picked
touching the
up.
cars or something.
Yeah.
Like, there was a few incidents. I don't think it was widespread. I've always took care of my guys and they take care of me. So
Well,
if you're nice to your garbage man, that'd be somebody you'd be nice to.
Yes.
Because
Yes,
well,
you need
on our
that.
area, Mike, the Rumpke guy who picks up, I don't know if he does all of Norwood, but he's also like the manager. So if you call, you talk to him, and he does it all.
Well, quick
but he's a
story
great,
for
you know.
I had a house fire in 2010, and my garbage man sat there for 3 hours and let me put my chimney in it
That's very
for
nice.
3 hours, and he didn't want to charge me nothing. Of course, I paid him, but he sat there and he did it repetitively. Like every week, he would come by and he said. He told somebody else, he said, the guy's house burned down, I'm just trying to help him out. So, I mean, these guys are good guys.
Yeah.
So, he sat there for 3 hours.
Oh, it's a job a
Let
lot
me
of people
fill
can't do.
it with bricks because I tore 2 chimneys down off my place. And anyway, that's just a quick story.
Yeah, they're good if you're, out there.
Yeah, I've never had an issue, but
Yeah.
again, I don't know how it works if we have the same person.
Not to interrupt you.
Yeah.
But, Mr. Miracle, our auditor's daughter, has a little funny story about that, so maybe you want to ask her about that incident. Okay?
Dr. Miracle?
Dr. Miracle, isn't she awesome?
She's
That is
pretty
one
phenomenal.
That is one good girl right
It's a shame that Mr. Miracle is not proud of her.
there. Oh,
It's just like
Right.
sweetest thing. It's just like, because the
I
heart's
think
gonna
it's the first
burst
thing he
open.
talked to me about. was
Probably.
His lovely
she's a
daughter.
fantastic woman.
Yeah.
Really.
It's really cool. Okay, so recycling. I'm working, it's one of those things, it's kind of too late, but Christmas lights, holiday lights that are garbage, you can recycle at any of the great parks. I did that last year. Maybe next year we can think about having another bin at the Board of Health for that. But I'm guessing most people have already probably thrown their lights away. I still have mine in my front hall.
Some of them got them up, yeah.
I leave mine up
Still
until it's
some up.
spring or summer.
I mean, normally I do.
I'll go with it.
Are there other things in terms of recycling that we would like to highlight or target?
I think like kind of what we talked about prior is like one thing at a time with it. And I think we've got a good list of like, let's tackle these because it's habit forming, right? So let's start where we need to, and once we're
The
successful.
list always grows.
Yeah, yeah. So start there once we feel like we're successful, and we, like you said, we start to see that marker move. Okay, what's the next thing?
One thing that we do need to hit again is trying to get more people to get the red, or if you have the red, the green rolling bins for recycling. The city did put out the Facebook page, and it's on their website. Other ways we could get the word out about that you can think of
For recycling?
for recycling, just because the city residents can get the bin at no charge.
Right.
They're not free, we already paid for them.
I would say if we did a push to contact renters
Yeah, that's what I was
in
just
the big
gonna say.
apartment buildings, that would, I'm sure, or
So
if we could,
the issue with the apartment buildings is that the landlord would have to
Right,
request it.
right.
And if it's too big a building, then it wouldn't be a recycling bin, it would be like a
a
dumpster.
dumpster, yeah. But
So-
is that still free to them? I think we did, I
Not-
think you checked.
Not, the dumpsters are not
Dumpster's
free.
not free.
The dumpsters are not free. So the bigger apartment buildings are a harder one to go.
But there's so many, I mean, just on our street
I know.
of rentals that still have the red bin for a 2-3 family. So I don't know how we could contact landlords on that point, but we've tried to talk to I've talked to renters, like, ask your landlord, like, very easy to just get a bin to show up, but,
I have one.
yeah.
We have a big green one.
I got a big green one too.
Yeah.
Oh, another just sort of FYI that I heard is if you don't, because we have the big rolling recycling, if you don't need to put it out, don't,
For recycling?
for recycling, or
'Cause it's not
garbage, I
the shit
guess.
drop.
Well, yeah, I guess garbage is a little different, but one less thing, especially in those crazy cold weather, one less a can for them to have to deal with. If you don't need to put it out, don't. I never thought about that.
I think
It's
the
just-
mayor brought it up too, on like people complaining about the noise, because they do come early, and they're like, oh, they're coming too early to wake me up, but it's also like, well, if you don't need to put it out, don't put it out, and then
Right.
they're quicker off and on your street, so, yeah. All communication points.
Okay.
Oh, here's an idea. So they're gonna be doing, they're putting in the budget, or put in the budget for 2024 to do, newsletters, mail them out.
Cool.
Back in the olden days. So maybe on there, we could say, call this number for recycling bin.
Do you have to sign up to get the newsletter though? Or do
I'm
we
not
just, are they just doing a
sure.
citywide mailing? I was just asking.
I'm
if they're
not
mailing
sure
them. I mean, it's still a good idea to
how
put it
they're
in,
doing
but
it. I think they're gonna send it to everybody.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I never
Because I
got
heard
one
that.
because I moved in 2020, so I.
They weren't doing it in 2020.
Yeah, right, so I was
Yeah.
I've never received one.
I've never received one either.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we
The-
should ask,
Well, no, they're just gonna start it.
Well, I know,
They're trying
but-
to get the budget.
we should ask how they're mailing,
Ah,
who they're
gotcha.
mailing it to. Yeah, sorry.
My assumption is that they would mail to everyone because,
It's a lot.
It's a lot
yeah,
of
it is. That's why they're putting it, that's why they're putting it in the budget.
Okay.
Um,
I think it's a good idea to put it in regardless. I was just curious
I
how
think-
you get the newsletter.
The last newsletter I got was from my council member.
Mr. Moore?
Before that.
You talking about the newspaper?
No,
Oh, that's
I don't
fine.
think I ever got the newspaper. When did the newspaper stop?
Probably when we moved here, like 2017, 18?
Somewhere around there, Mr. Clark's family did that. And, yeah, they did a good job too. That was Norwood Star, and then before that, it was the Norwood Enterprise or something like, that's been going on for a long time.
There was a lot of people I talked to, like, that was how they got their information. They'd go to Kroger, they'd pick up one of those, or they get it delivered, and that was how
Yeah.
they,
Used to be free, and then they start charging for it, because obviously they could.
It costs
they could
money.
Just do it, yeah, so. Anyway, I did hear about that, but that's, seems like a lot of waste if we send it to everybody. I don't know.
I'll find out.
Yeah,
Yes.
Mr. Powers told me
Yeah.
that. But if they're doing, what are other things? Another thing I had was I know that I was able to get the police department a whole bunch of Kia steering wheel locks.
Oh, the locks.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
It's been a long time on hold with Kia.
Okay.
That's what I
I
did.
was just, okay. I was just curious.
I know, nothing exciting. I wish I was like, well, I have a Kia contact. I do now because I spent 45 minutes
Well,
on
you should
hold.
let your people know that you spent 45 minutes on the phone to get those locks.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So the police got them. I don't know how many they have left, if any. But I know the police have also given out gun locks before, and I thought that would be something that we could look into.
They were at the when you had that event at Paycor, there was someone giving out gun
I'll bet they
locks.
still do that.
They do. They did it just, when was that? When was
I'll
the
bet
Paycor
Norwood,
event?
I'll bet the police have gun locks over there. If you go
Yeah.
ask them, I'll bet they'll give you, I'll bet they have it. They already have that program, I'll bet you.
Well, they might. So maybe our job is to get the gun locks in the hands of the people who need the gun locks. What was the other thing? The Kia locks, steering wheel. I know that the health commissioner, Pam Mullen, wants to try to get Narcan in every household. I know that I used to have some in my car, just because. And I'm not sure what her plan is for distributing it, but maybe that's another space we could
It was like, yeah.
work collaboratively.
I'm sure if she just set up at the market at Off Pike or too, I'm sure people would be interested.
Isn't that stuff expensive?
Narcan?
I mean, at
yeah,
one
you can
time,
get
the
it.
cops couldn't even have it because it was so expensive. We were using it and we couldn't even afford it. Like,
The health department got, I think, either got a grant or got,
Well, Hamilton County
Hamilton,
is
yeah.
pushing, they're giving it away, they're also giving away test strips.
Okay.
So it's a new, with the opioid
epidemic.
epidemic, they're getting funding for that.
Yeah, I know the Hamilton County has the test strips, but does Norwood have the test strips?
I don't know.
I'm looking at you.
I know.
I don't know, Hamilton County,
haven't needed
if you
to
ask, like, they'll just give them to you. So,
Yeah.
We have them at the cidery, we have Narcan behind the bar at the cidery, but Hamilton County reached out to us because like Madry has them in the bathrooms, so they were like, if you want them, here you go. So. All right.
have you used them yet?
No, our first responders have been wonderful.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Okay, wait.
It's everywhere. My sister started carrying it because we saw a woman at Findlay Market just overdosing.
You just gotta pray for them.
Yeah.
They need all the love.
Well, and resources. Other things, 2024.
I know we've been talking about this in housing, so kind of breaking this down to three things, and it's come up, but our nuisance ordinance is not working how it is. Mr. Powers has sent me some information. I've been digging around. I want us to continue that conversation and really figure out a solution to chronic properties, but also not impacting our landlords that are great landlords. So I've been looking at Springfield, Ohio.
That's my hometown.
Mr. Power sent a few things on there, but they did something. It's a different version of a vacant property ordinance that they enforce and have been pretty successful with. I would love to go over that with, everybody, administration on, because that tends to be our barrier. But again, really focusing on these are our chronic properties, and we know the properties that the landlords are not being responsible for. But again, always making sure that if you are a responsible landlord, you're not being impacted by this. So looking at our vacant property ordinance, I know rental property registration has come up all over, and it's like, well, we kind of already do it, we kind of don't. I would like to revisit that and really like narrow that down. I feel like every time it comes up, it's like, well, we kind of do this, we kind of do that, and it's all over. And I'm not talking about like the surveying and all that kind of stuff we wouldn't do, but just the city has an awareness of those properties. Something the city of Cincinnati did was council asked for a report on the Department of Buildings and Inspections code enforcement process and chronic offenders. I know they have a lot of agencies that take complaints and do the enforcement, but that report, I can send it to you guys if you want to look at it.
Sure.
So they had someone just do this report, and they literally came up with a list of like, here are your top problem properties. Again, you know, it's kind of a third party looking at that, looking at all the different agencies. Again, so much bigger than us, but it might be an option. But I would really like to figure out how we can deal with chronic properties, because there's a lot of frustrated residents and a lot of frustrated renters, and it just keeps coming up and it keeps coming up. And I think we understand the barriers within our administration. I don't want to add anything to their plate, but I think we really need to understand the ins and the outs and come up with a solution, because it keeps coming up over and over and over. So I would like to keep that as one of our committee goals too.
I love that. A question in terms of the Springfield ordinance, because my understanding that the real problem with our nuisance ordinance isn't really the ordinance, it's that we don't have a system in place to track it.
Yeah.
And right now, anything that we could create would be laborious or very expensive.
Well, and that ordinance came from Middletown, right? And so he was contacting Middletown over and over and was like, who is doing this? And I guess it was a police officer that did it with that ordinance back in the day, and he gathered it all. He's no longer there, so no one's doing it. We don't have the current labor to put all of those complaints into a compiling system. It's not working. So just trying to revisit that.
I think that the way, and this is not a perfect solution, but we can use our ordinance sort of retroactively. And what I mean by retroactively is someone calls about a property, and then we can go and look and see how many police calls were there, how many building department issues have there been.
Like us, or see, that's
Yeah, but I mean,
It's already there. If, all you gotta do is call, if you wanna know about a property, give Jim Shelby a call. He'll tell you exactly how many times they've been cited, where it's at, what year, what
Yeah.
date. So we
That's
have
right.
it.
Well-
So if there's a nuisance property and they're being cited, we have a record of that. So,
and so that's what we just said though, John,
Yeah.
Mr. Braden, because you have to call all of the different places, and who does
Health
that?
Department, Jim Shelby, he has that record, right?
No, he has the Board of Health's information.
Okay.
He does not have the
Building
building
department.
department information, he does not have the police department information.
So if you go,
So-
so if,
Because what the nuisance property ordinance does is it combines
what would the
all
building
of
department
those.
have, what would the building, like, as far as, so,
A violation.
like your window's broken.
health department writes you up on that.
Yeah, that's a
The
health
health department walks
Board of
around, they
Health.
used to make them get up and walk the streets. I don't know if they still do now, I don't think they do, but they used to make them get out of the office, walk the streets, and write up, look for
Yeah, Slain a
write-ups,
few
and
years
write them
ago.
up. And the health department did that, and
Board of Health.
they stopped doing that. They stopped doing that because they got, I don't know.
But the building department
And
would
then
be your porch,
Police,
your
the
porch
police,
is broken.
you'd have to call the police separately.
And the
if you wanna know
and the
that.
building
So
department.
You're not gonna be able to combine that, but
Well, but
yeah,
that-
I mean, I guess if I was looking at nuisance, I'd call the health department and the police department, and then you put those two information pieces of information together, so.
Right, but I think the piece that you're missing is we're trying to have that automated. We know we can do it that way.
Okay.
We're trying to not do it that way.
Okay.
Because that is the retroactive way that I
Okay.
was saying that's what we're left with. What we want is one system where Jim Shelby puts in his information, the police put in their information, and then boom, this property is flagged.
Okay.
So, and the issue is that is what doesn't exist. So what we're doing is what you're saying, but we were trying to find, to
That's fine.
have
that's
it
fine.
be
I think
modernized.
My point is that the system's already in place, but that's okay, that's fine. Like people, a resident has an issue with their neighbor or something, I got one yesterday, got a phone call yesterday about a neighbor. And I'm following up on a couple other ones, but, trash and stuff like that, so. My first question is, how many times has the health department been out?
Board of Health.
And, Board of Health Department, yeah, I guess.
It
So, yeah, that's
changed
fine,
2
we
years
can work on it we can work on it, that's fine. If you're trying to have a different system, so I guess, the system's in place, but we can always change it.
Also, I think, like we were talking about earlier, it's like the communication piece. And so in Ward 2, I've had residents reach out, being terrified in the middle of the night, waking up, SWAT teams there. They've also had altercations with this same neighbor. And then I go and okay, how many citations on this property? They're like, oh, one a few years ago for a broken window, and that was it. And there's been things that have happened where citations could have occurred. And so really working with residents on that communication piece too, I think on these, this is your right, and you shouldn't be nervous about contacting the police, and this is what you need to do if you want that citation to occur, is important. And that's where the frustration, residents will have, it's a property everyone knows about, and the police gets called, the SWAT team gets called, there's ODs, there's all these things happening at this one property, and then the resident contacts the city about it, and we look it up, and they're like, oh, there's no citations. But and this, it.
I get it, I was there last time when we had one after another committee meeting on this.
Yeah.
One after another for what I felt like was years.
Well, what's going on?
Then
5 years now?
Then it's you think there's blight all over the city, there's not really blight all over our city, so, these are isolated incidents, and they get to, I understand, we can work on it, I'm not just against working
Yeah.
on anything. You guys got something you want to work on, we'll work on it and try to figure it out. I think that, if somebody has a problem, they go to the health department and say, this is a problem, let's get it started. I've dealt with several of them and I've fixed a lot of them. So there's ways of fixing them. You just have to be persistent.
And we don't have to reinvent
I
the
don't
wheel.
know yeah, right. I hear you. Just keep working
Springfield,
on it.
I'll send that to you guys, but there's also a good story on it. But the vacant property was really helped pressure those owners to make sure that their property's not falling apart. Because we know if it's a vacant property and it's falling apart, nothing as good is going to come of that. So they actually have seen change from that. They have actively within the past couple of years seen that change. So I'll send you that, and I think that's promising. It's hard. We are in no right to get between neighborhood disputes. That's not our job. That's between neighbors. That's not our job. But I am concerned when there is X amount of calls and visits by the police and the building department to a property, and the resident calls the city and there are no citations made. That to me is okay, what's going on? So it might just be a communication thing to residents. This is your right, this is what you should ask, if this is happening. But also looking at our vacant property ordinance enforcement, that's always the issue, right? Enforcement. I feel like there is a solution out there. I don't think it has to be complicated. Again, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Cities similar to us are dealing with the same problems. So just really doing your research, looking out there, working with the administration to be like, will this work? Will this not work? And trying to find a solution would be nice to close the conversation on it.
You also mentioned rental registry. I did have a conversation with Bridget Kelly's office, and actually this was kind of cool. I learned how to read the registration a little bit better, because one of the concerns is that there's a lot of PO boxes and that sort of thing. If you click on this one link, it takes you to a local contact.
On the auditor's site?
Yeah. And I didn't realize that. So again, that's sort of like that education part. And I know that the bigger, like Factory 52 and, Mike Weagle, he has the big apartment. I know that they're good about sending in when people move, and the new residents. But let's make sure that all of the rental properties are doing that. The big ones we know are capturing, but there's, if we have 47% of Norwood are renters, do we have all their information to make sure that they're paying their Norwood taxes? Because that's a cash cow right there where we can get, and it's not that people aren't paying it, they're just paying it to Cincinnati. We want it to come here.
Yeah, and having local landowners, like that Springfield's registration I liked because it basically, like if you lived in Florida or you're in China or wherever, you would think twice before trying to buy a rental property in that town because of the requirements of we need somebody local, these are ours. So really keeping the rental properties in Norwood locally owned and run.
That would be great. The one thing that I did hear is that we do not have the capacity to put that online at this time.
Yeah. Or, we've talked about it before, but having if they're not local, they have somebody physical.
Right, a local designation.
Yeah.
Designee.
Yeah.
What do you think, for you, Candace, what do you feel like is the next step for the nuisance in terms of policy or application?
I would love to see if we can just get a report. And I know that might take time. Hopefully.
From the building department?
I'm open to, building department or just, hey, whoever wants to do it. It's data, right? So talking to maybe Mr. Powers and seeing what he sees as feasible. And it might take, this is going to take 6 months or 8 months, and so be it. But again, just look this is where we are. Because I feel like we've continually reached out to all these different, and it's just we've gotten nowhere. We're kicking a can down the street. So starting with this is where we currently are. If we can designate, these are our top 5, we're a small
properties.
city, yeah.
And get rid of the first top 5 and then,
And just if we could get a report.
not get worse, but get them under control.
Get a report. I really liked looking maybe at updating our vacant property ordinance because it kind of just it takes it to the next step, in court. All right, you didn't respond within 30 days, so we're sending this off to somebody else. And then that person fixes it and sends the owner the bill. You didn't pay that? Okay, this is no longer, And so it's kind of that procedure. Really focusing on more of those blighted properties. Maybe not necessarily properties that are currently being lived in, but
Yeah. So here's a question, which this is sort of a philosophical question, if you will. Do you think that if I own a home and it's vacant, is that okay? Or as part of a community, am I required to have that home be?
it should be registered as vacant.
Why? Because if I'm having the grass cut and the porch swept and the mail taken in
And paying your taxes.
and paying my taxes, does it matter if it's vacant or not? That's where I kind of started to circle.
I feel like it's less of an issue if you're in town, and but if you just have maybe a third party property who's like mowing the grass and just, stopping by every so often. Because, right, isn't that kind of where you would run into issues if someone's not doing their due diligence when they come and take care of the property?
But wouldn't that then come up when the grass is long, whether or not someone lives there?
Well, if you have squatters or something, which, I mean, at that point, you have other, I'm thinking like you brought up Springfield.
Yeah.
The vacant houses there did have squatters in them in downtown Springfield, and if I don't know how the grass was, but you could have squatters at night and they wouldn't be there during the day. Like we're coming full circle. The opioid epidemic hit downtown Springfield pretty hard. There were a bunch of pain clinics there when I was a kid for, the non-addictive Oxycontin. But anyway, so there, drug epidemic hit hard there. There would be There were squatters in houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an increased risk on a vacant property.
But probably less
There's
likely.
obviously exceptions, and I mean, you can go to the building department and say, these are my exceptions, this is why, and they'd be like, okay, then. But I think that long-term, I mean, looking more at what is your plan with that property, because if you're gonna sit on that and make no money, but if you're upkeeping it and you're actively, I live down the street on this property.
Right.
I'm here.
I wouldn't be worried about Mr. Braden having a vacant property, is what I'd say.
But like
not
that's-
everybody's Mr. Braden.
But like you're an active.
Yeah.
Like I live down. I'm here. Like it's upkeep. I'm walking through it. Like then that's an exception.
As a
Let's move
society,
on.
we need to
Your
be
house is
like-
not an issue house, but a vacant property where like, hey, why is this not? Why is the door falling off? Why is this window broken and hasn't been fixed? Why is this? And no response, then the city then has the legal right to be like, oh, you did not respond within this amount of time to fix.
But couldn't we still do that with the Board of Health?
If they're out doing inspection.
I mean, that's
We just did it. That's what I
Yeah.
meant. We just did it. There's the lady,
On Crown.
at Atlanta, they kicked her out, they boarded her house, she can't go back.
Yeah.
So the system's in place, the enforcement is the issue.
Yeah.
And what you're gonna find is, I'm a big proponent of less government. And what you're gonna find, what we can do is we can cite them civilly. Once it crosses over to criminal or whatever, that it doesn't really do that when you're talking about, and then what happens is if we cite them, and then we turn it over to the police department. They in turn don't want to get involved. I've dealt with that where they don't want to go to if it's a civil issue, then they don't want to get involved. So they wouldn't, not that they don't want to or they won't, but they don't have the manpower, or they just brush it off like there's no law broken, we're not getting involved.
It's
So
low on the priority list.
it's not that level of involvement from them, and I think that's what I've seen in the past where
Council?
people that work on it, not particularly me, because I have my own issues, but the people that want to work on this type of issue want enforcement, and then no one will enforce it. So what we do is we have the health department, and we crack down on and the health department will go out and give them citations. And that's where and I think that, what the law department did something with this lady and they kicked her out of her house. So it's there, the things that to do are there. So we can, I would start with finding out exactly what happened there and how they actually forced her out. And that would probably help you with this ordinance as far as trying to dig deeper into it. But I just remember working
The house was
working on it,
uninhabitable.
and then the cops like, well, we're not gonna serve no warrant over a civil dispute. Like, it's just, I remember that directly. Like the cops really saying, our officers are just like, why would we get involved in that? So it's just, we can work on it and find out exactly what happened there. I think that would help.
Yeah.
Exactly, specifically how they exited her out of there. So
It was uninhabitable.
there was no water,
Right, that was how they,
That alone
Right.
is,
that's how they got her
But
out.
how long?
It took 2 years.
it was a long time.
I think it was probably longer than that.
Yeah, I think so. I'll send this to you guys just to look at.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
See what you think.
Work on
And can you also send the report?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
I wanna
send all
see that.
that to you, and, I mean, look it over. Again, it was something Mr. Power sent to me, and he was like, this has made a difference.
Would you be willing to ask Mr. Powers about getting a similar report for Norwood?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to take this, yeah, and keep, I mean, I've already been trying to. So I'm happy to just continue the conversation. And my big thing is like, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. What are we currently doing? Is it working? Does it need to take 2+ years to actually make action? Residents are already frustrated. And that's my thing. It's like, there's frustration. And is it because of lack of communication and knowledge of the process?
Right.
Is it because lack of being able to enforce? Is it because legislation needs to be updated? I don't know.
Or, yeah.
I'm gonna say I'm the minority report here.
Yeah.
And I am, and I respect everybody's opinion and work on it. But I am not a big proponent of speeding up the process of government getting involved in people's homes. Like that's something that just, to me, seems very,
I don't want to do that.
I guess my question
I don't
is, in
know.
what way are we getting into people's homes?
well, speeding up the process of I don't know. I just really am a proponent of government staying out of people's lives unless it's warranted. If there's trash all over, then we cite them. If there's something going on, then we cite them. But I don't know what else we want to do besides how
I
you want to
wish
speed
they
it up and how
I
you.
think that's what we're talking about, though. I
Okay.
think we're all talking about the same thing.
Yeah,
I got it. That's what I'm talking about. And I guess what I'm saying is we already do that. So.
But it's not working.
I think
No, I disagree, Ms. Hoover. Do you think that there's blight all over the city? Is that what you're telling me?
Absolutely not. But are there properties
No, we-
that
we-
need to be addressed?
The lady just got kicked
are
out of
there
her home, so how is it not working? We just kicked the lady out of her home and
That-
boarded it up. So how is that not working?
How is that not working? First of all, it took years. The woman was arrested multiple times.
It was her
That whole-
house. You're gonna take somebody's house, like, it's just too
Yeah.
much, man. Yeah, well.
It was
I mean,
awful.
we
It was
have a different-
heartbreaking.
No, we have different ideologies and different ways of thinking about that, because I personally don't want to take somebody's home.
I don't want to take anyone's home either. But I do want landlords to be responsible
And I
to
do
make
too.
sure that
I
their
do too.
tenants have heat. I want to make sure that landlord.
I don't,
Right, so I
I
think
didn't say
that's-
I didn't want nobody to have heat, so we're not gonna say, but
I
my thing
didn't
is, I
say
think
that-
my thing is we have enforcement already. We have a health department.
A board
that
of
is-
health.
We have a health department that their job is to cite people
Mm-hmm.
and seek out the unhealthy properties that we have
Correct.
and cite them.
Correct.
And we
That
have
is their job.
That's all,
Yes.
that's all my point is. We have
Okay,
that.
and I think we all agree that that's the
All right.
case, and we know that.
Well, we agree
But
with
that's not, but right now, we're also dealing with some nuisance properties.
Okay.
The whole city is not in blight, of course not.
Okay.
Are there properties?
I just don't believe that there's blight everywhere. for
No
us to
one
have here.
said there's blight everywhere.
I know that, I
Ha-
just mean, I think that the ones that are the worst, we gotta chip away at them, and we just did, the one lady's out, and it's not nothing that I wanna like push it against here, I'm working with you guys as much as you guys wanna work together to help anything I can help with, anything. If you wanna work on the nuisance ordinance, I'm here to help you with that, I will have, opinions that may differ, but it's something that I want to put a wall up and say, I'm not gonna, whatever it is, I'll help with whatever I can. We just see that, I don't see blight, a lot of blight that we have, and when I do see it, I see our departments spearheading against it, and every time I've called, say, the health,
Board of Health.
the Board of Health, say every time I've called them, they've been very responsive, and he'd say, yeah, I'll check it out, and if they need to write up, they do it. And I've had it several times, 2 or 3 this year, last year, And, so, I mean, I guess that's all I have, man, so let's work on it, and let's work on it together, and I'm here for anybody that needs anything, absolutely. I'm not trying to be combative, and I apologize if it seems that way,
I just feel like we're saying the same thing.
okay?
And-
I think that's a great thing, man.
And I think we all agree, no one wants to take people's houses.
No, that
Well,
was,
For the record, nobody
Said it like that.
is interested in that.
no, that was absolutely heartbreaking.
Government is really, I'm in government, and and I am trying to govern in my town that I love. And so it's important to me that we have boundaries and,
Well, I
you know,
think,
we don't
yeah.
have to, if we don't have to, I don't want to. That's it. That's where it
I'm
lies,
with-
right there.
I'm
That's where it lies.
I'm with you, Mr.
I'm
Braden.
done.
I wish they would stay out of my medical decisions too.
No, it's 9 o'clock?
All right. Appreciated. I do want to kind of have this 2024 planning in mind, just so we kind of have a guiding theme. But we've certainly already talked about trying to fold in or invite in Rumpke Resource and the soil shop when appropriate. We're going to continue to work on recycling.
Yeah, the soil shop said they're game to do a spring test, so if there's
awesome.
anything we have going on, they're like, just let us know though.
I would really love to do another composting thing.
Yeah.
I think that Donna Lake did the last one.
Yes.
Did she do that when she was at the board? Well, back then it was the health department. Did she do the last one?
She did the workshop, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she got awarded our first year for that project.
Okay. Awesome. So I can talk, because the money for that comes to the Board of Health through our recycling. Compost. So we got the recycling and the housing, lunch and learn, and if there are other folks at other local banks, I can pop into the US Bank. And
Just a
then there's
thought,
also
yeah.
you, and I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because
They all
we
might
do
specialize in
want,
something different.
and to just have different opportunity. Maybe it could be the exact same workshop,
Yeah.
just by a different bank if we spread it out every so often. So, so the lunch and learns, and then, I already sent out an email about the yard sale, and you're gonna look at places for the February community engagement town hall. I don't know, how's that sound as a name?
Is that what we're gonna call it?
I don't know.
Is
That
it
was the work
spec-
tree
it-
bug pending.
It's, okay, just so I'm clear, is it specifically
One
for
for.
community safety though, right? Or is this just community?
It's community, but we're gonna definitely have a focus on community safety because the police are gonna do their presentation.
Okay. So the main theme is community.
Yes. Yes.
Just so I have something to say when I talk to them.
Absolutely. Another question I wanted to ask is, do we want to have meetings scheduled, or do we want to have standing committee meetings?
I think I'd rather just schedule as needed.
Okay.
If that's.
That's
okay.
fine by
You're
me.
the chair.
I am the chair, but I'll not be there.
I mean, finance, we're doing standing committee meetings just because Mr. Miracle's on the
Finances.
ball and he's
He's
like.
got,
There's always finance to be
So
done.
we're doing every second Tuesday, just before council, that's our standing meeting, but it's because Mr. Miracle's,
he's got, he's
Yeah.
on it. All right, well, if we feel in a few months we want to change that, we can. Otherwise, we will just go
Yeah.
as we go. Any other things? We have no public comments? All right. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
thank you.